Today at Home with Miss Joan, I'm thinking, we're coming out of last year and we're looking at the new year. And there's nothing that we can do about last year's spending. It's all over with. But there's a lot that we can do about this year's spending by looking at our budget, making us a bill list. And Preacher and I always sit down the first of the year and review if we got any kind of a raise or we got any new bills we got to pay, and look at our budget and our bill list. And we did that recently. And I thought, well, you know what? That might make an informative and helpful video for my YouTube friends. So that's what we're going to do today. The first thing that we do is, he and I work together on this, which is a great thing to encourage any couples to work together on your bills. And we're Christians, so we start out by praying about our bills and pray together. And after we have prayer, we set aside usually the first day of the month to work on our bills. Now, I know some of you can't do that on that certain day, but a long time ago, we anticipated there's going to be a time when we retire and we're only going to get paid once a month. So we got used to living on a paycheck once a month. And it really helped us when we went to retire and really did have to live on a once a month check. And so you may get paid twice a month, every Friday, ever how it works. You just got to know what is your income and what is your expenses. And that way you'll know how much you have to live on. But for us, when we get together, we sit down on the first day of the month usually. And we talk about our bills. We pull them out and look at them. And the first thing that I do is I go online and I make sure that our checkbook is balanced. And we are without excuse nowadays not to have a balanced checkbook, because you can look at it every day online if you want to, where we used to have to wait till once a month to get a statement. But I make sure that our checkbook's in balance. And I found out that this little thing here just don't have enough writing space for me. So what I did, I just went to the computer and made me a big one like it. And that way I can record the check numbers or the draft and the date and who it's to and whether it's a debit or credit, a check or deposit, and the balance on a bigger sheet. And I can make a lot of notes like this is a household expense, this is for taxes, just a lot of stuff like that. So main thing is make sure that your checkbook's in balance to the penny. And then you'll know how much money you have to start off with. And we record our deposits. So I would just take my big check register here, which you may have a regular size, and I'd put the date, January the 1st, and I would always put the year right here, and then I would put deposit, and it might be Ricky drives the bus. It may be his bus check, so I'd come over here and I'd scribble in his bus amount, and I'd add it to my balance. So I record all of our deposits first because I want to know how much money that we, of course, have to work from. And then I would look at our expenses, and that is when this handy bill list comes in play, which I've printed out kind of a plain generic one here in case any of you want to start doing this. Then here is your copy of how you could start one. But I'm going to kind of be teaching this little video from mine and Brother Ricky's actual bill list, because that's the one that I'm familiar with. But anyway, I look at our expenses, and the first thing that we do is we donate 10% to the church or to a ministry, to a church. And that's what we've always done, and we just believe the Lord has really blessed us by doing that. And so our first expense off the top of our income is always to the church. So, of course, I would record that on my expenses here, how much we were donating to the church. And then I would think savings. So many times we leave our savings to the last. If I have any left, I will put it in savings. But if you will, a good plan is you have 100%, right? 10% donations, 10% saving, and then 80% is what you live off of. And that's kind of a guide that we go by. So we talk about our giving and our little bit of savings that we do. And then you got to look at your bills. And I'll just pull this off of here and we'll just play with it a little bit. Can you see this, lady, camera lady? Say, I talked about our income. I would write it here. his income and mine, any other that we might have a little bit. He has a little bus job, so we'd add that income here. Add up your income, and that way you'll know how much do you have. If you only have $2,000 a month, then you can't spend more than $2,000 a month. It will catch up with you sooner or later. So we add up our income, and then we look at our bills. And of course, I told you that giving was really important to us, or to the church, and that's there. And then the savings. And then for you, let's just say you had a house payment. Well, you list your house payment. And what I like to do is out here at the side, put when it's due, like say it's due on the 5th, and then is it a check or a draft? For us, we like to draft out everything we can to come out of our checking account, so we don't have to write a check. So most of my stuff is a draft. And so house payment, say if you had a house payment on the 5th and it's coming out by draft. And then you may have a car payment, and it may be due on the 10th. Okay? And is it coming straight out of your account? Or you got to write a check, or you got to swing by the place and pay them, whatever. You just need to know how you're going to do that. And then we list all of our insurances, and we have some insurance drafts come out of the bank, and I put down when they come out. Every bill that I list, I put down when it is due, because especially if you get paid more than say the 1st and the 15th, then there's so many bills you got going to come out on the first payday, and then so many bills you're going to have coming out on your second payday. But for us, it's just one payday a month, so we sit down and we talk about all of them on the same day. But anyway, and then on the insurances, over here I have a little date, like April of 22 on one of these. That's when they can raise the price. It's the annual due date or the annual premium date. And sometimes you get a letter in the mail that says, we went up on your premium. So I put that little date over here under the amount. Say my insurance was $100. Well, then I put the date over here that $100 may go up in April. So those little dates help me also. And one thing, when we tried to get everything that I could pay on a monthly basis. So a long time ago, I contacted our insurance company, and I said, instead of us paying our house insurance every 6 months, that's a big hump to come up with all at once, or once a year, could we do it every month? So that's what I do. My house insurance comes out of my checking account every month. So you could do that. You could contact your insurance company and ask them, can you pay your house insurance on a monthly basis? And that way you can budget by the month and say, well, I'm going to pay $100 a month on my house insurance instead of coming up with $1,200 at the end of the year. So we did that, and we also did it on our car insurance too. Now, that worked for a long time, but I called the car insurance company, and they said, yeah, you can, for such and such amount, you can pay it every month. And I like that, instead of coming up with that big total twice a year or once a year. But what happened lately was they contacted us and said, you'll save so much money if you'll go back to paying it every 6 months. And it was a good enough difference to where we went back and to the every 6 months, but I still have my house coming out every month. So whatever you can do to contact your bill companies or insurance companies to help you get on a monthly, know what your monthly income is, and know what your monthly expenses are, it'll help you. Now, I bet everybody's got a cell phone or some kind of phone bill. You're going to have that, and nowadays we're all going to have an internet. I'm not writing. Is this dark enough for the camera? And of course, we have our water and our garbage. And you see, I could go on and on. I write down our medicines and our doctor visits. I allow so much for miscellaneous and car repairs, and because they can really hit you by surprise too, a big car repair or tires for your car. And so we try to anticipate that sort of thing and budget for it. And then down here after you get all the monthly expenses, you total it up. And you see, and you hope that it's under your amount of income. Your income and your monthly expenses, you total that up. And every time I pay a bill, that's what these little dates are over here, and they're so helpful to us. Like January, when we got the check wrote to the church, we came over here under J, and I scratched it off. And see, when you get your house payment made, you scratch it off like that. And that way I can tell what's been paid and what hasn't been paid. And Brother Ricky and I, a long time ago, preacher, Brother Ricky, we contacted all of our bills companies and to see if they would let us change our due date to the first of the month, or as near to the first of the month as possible, because that was what we was trying to do. Get paid on the first of the month and pay all of our bills. And so everybody was real agreeable. We went to the electric company and changed our due date. Now our light bill comes out of the checking account on the 4th, around the first of the month. We asked our water and garbage company, the internet, our cell phone, insurance companies, anything that we could get to come out near when our income was coming into the house. That's what we did. There was only one that couldn't change it, and that was our natural gas. It comes out on the 25th. So now when we sit down to pay all of our bills, I know we're going to get all these bills paid or deducted out of the checking account except for the natural gas bill, and that bill is going to come in around the 25th. It aggravates me, but at the same time I realized that everybody couldn't change just to meet our request. But anyway, and then the other things that can catch you by surprise is those yearly, semi-annual, quarterly things. So I write them down here at the bottom, like say this is ours, and in January, it lets me know it's January through December. Oh yeah, our insurance company has what they call yearly dues. And in fact, we haven't got that bill yet. And then our burglar alarm comes out in March. And then our car insurance. I told you that we went back to every 6 months paying it. So here it is right here. On April 11th, they're going to take our car and truck insurance out of the checking account. So I have it in here under our semi-annual, the stuff at the bottom. This is the monthly things that we know we got to pay. And these are all the things that can catch us by surprise. So you see this? April the 11th. So I went down here on October the 11th because it's semi-annual. It's going to come due again October the 11th, our car and truck insurance. And of course the amount is usually over here, ever how much it is. And I check it off over here and put when we pay it. And it really, really does help to not just have your monthly bills wrote down, but any bill that comes in throughout the year. We allow for vacation and we allow for Christmas, and we just come out of Christmas. You ought to know what you spent this year. And if you want to spend that same amount next year, then divide it by 12 and start putting that much back every month. And then Christmas and vacation, most people want to celebrate Christmas. Most of them want to have some kind of a vacation. It just will really help you enjoy it a whole lot better if you budget for it. So I add up our non-monthly expenses, and it has a total. And I try to divide that by 12, and that's the amount I try to put aside each month to anticipate these bills. And lots of people, some people use what they call an envelope system, and they'll write things like car insurance that you're saving for, say $50 a month, they'll put it in here, or they'll use what's called an envelope system. What I do is I know to have that much in my checking account and build it up on the side. So I know what's in my checking account and it's balanced, but I also know what's over at the side that I'm saving for, those unexpected or those quarterly, semi-annual, annually bills that's going to come up. But anyway, let me check over my list here. Oh yeah, the credit card. If you have a credit card, what we do is we have what we call stub. I want to know if we use that credit card, we got a receipt for every purchase that we made. And so we just have this stub, and when he uses the credit card to get gas or whatever he does, then he brings the receipt into the house when he comes home, and we call stub it. And we stop everything that we put on the credit card. So on our bill day, we also have the credit card statement, whether we print it out online or get it in the mail. We look at it, and he calls off all the charges. I find the receipt here, and we go over, is this something we keep for our taxes, or do we need this receipt because it's a purchase if we take it back or whatever. We talk about all of that then. And there's Walmart pickup, you don't have a receipt for that. So if there's something that I ordered and picked it up at Walmart, I need the receipt. Then I go online on bill day and I print it out. So we'll have that receipt too. Also, oh my goodness, Amazon gets us all, don't it? It's so easy to order, but I want a receipt. If it's going on my credit card, I want to print out that receipt and put it on this stub. So we'll have a record and we won't get caught off surprise owing more on the credit card than what we thought. So that's just some little tips I have about that. And then we sat down and pay the whole bill of the credit card all at once. And I know that many years ago we didn't do that, and boy, you can get in over your head with a high interest if you don't pay off that bill every month. And so I go on the computer and I key it in and we pay it right there on the computer. But you can write a check, mail it in, or whatever. But I just wanted to make this little video to encourage y'all to stop and don't let 22 turn out like last year. If your finances was giving you a hard time, you can make a difference. You can make a difference just a little bit at a time. I know there was a time when we was younger that we might have had 4 different credit cards. Say we had and one of them might be big. And what I done was, and you've heard this advice before, I put down how much I owed on one. Say one of them was a big bill, and maybe one of them, whatever was the smallest, I put it down here, and like that. And I started with the smallest bill, and say this bill was $30 a month. Well, I paid that till I got it paid off. And then I didn't forget about this $30 a month. I come up here to this second lowest bill that I owed and say I was paying $50 a month on that. Well, I took that 30 and that 50, instead of paying 50, I paid 80. You see how you can kind of snowball your debt if you really get focused on that's primary and what you want to do this year. And then that made that an 80. And then I went up to the next highest bill that I owed, or credit card, and I had 80 plus what I'd been paying. So if I'd been paying $100 a month on that, I still had that 80. I'd been paying it anyway. So there's 180. You see how it works? That you can put on that next highest bill. And when you get to that last bill, it is such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I remember that happened many years ago, but it's a wonderful feeling. And you get to add this 180 to say this 200 that you've been paying on this big bill. Then you've got a big amount to get this big bill out of the way. You say, well, why don't you start with the big bill first, Miss Joan? Well, you could, but there's something about gratification of knowing, hey, I got something paid for and I'm not charging anything there again, and just getting that boost of encouragement from paying off that small bill. And then you just move up and move up. And I graphed it out on paper, a spreadsheet, and I kept up with what I paid every month and went till we got every one of these paid. And Preacher and I worked together on it, and it was just a wonderful feeling. We never did that again, where you charge things and they charge you interest. But I wished I could think of everything. Oh yeah, I give him a little pad to keep in his shirt pocket or coat pocket, and I've got one in my purse. And sometimes your cash expenses can really, slip away. $20 here, $20 there, and just kind of keep up with it, or do it in your smartphone on one of those tablets that they have on there, and just put down how much cash did I really spend this week. But that's the only way you're going to be able to come up with your budget and your monthly expenses, to know how much you're spending on miscellaneous, because that miscellaneous category and clothing, it can really get you, can't it? And so it's to keep up with your out-of-pocket expenses. Plus you can write down charged so-and-so in the amount. And then at the end of the day, like, oh, wow, I charged something, I spent my cash, I spent more money than I thought today. Well, multiply that by 7. If you spent $10 a day, that's $70 a week. 70 times 4 weeks in the month, that could add up to $280 just like that. And so we just need to start tracking our expenses. There's some computer versions, some apps that you can look into. We just use the old paper pencil. It works well for us. But if any of you know me and you want to contact me, I'd be glad to send you this little basic sheet here, or you can just sit down there at home, take a big piece of paper and just put your income, when it comes in, your bills, when they're due, and mark them off January through December. And we review this all along, especially in January. I always make a new one, get us started off on the new year in the right way. And some expenses that you don't want to forget about is all of your subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, whatever you got. Those things are bills and they've got to be paid. And if you got a pet, don't you take them to the veterinarian? Then that's an expense. You need to put that in your budget. And the beauty shop. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I was paying $70 at the beauty shop every 5 weeks, okay? And I got to thinking, well, you know, I could, if that's money that I could put towards something else. And so what I done was I stopped coloring my hair, stopped getting the $70 every 5 weeks, and that adds up in a year's time to, Lord, I forgot, I think it was like $700 in a year's time that I was spending on that. So that's $700 that I moved to another expense that I had rather pay my money on. But everybody has their own things that they like and things that they need, and just write them all down. Start keeping up with them, and you can make a big difference in 2022 in your expenses. You can get out of debt this year if you work really hard. Look around the house at things that you can sell that you really don't use. Others might benefit from it, and marketplace and different places like that. And don't spend the money. Apply it to your bills. Everything extra that comes in, apply it to your bills, and you can get debt free. It's a wonderful blessing to be able to live debt free, and I know that it can happen to you too if you just try. And if I can help you in any way, comment down below. I'll be glad to. And just you can comment also on some ideas you have for making your budget successful, because I'm always willing to learn some new things. And I know we're not cooking today, we're doing something different, but I love all things home. I love running a good budget and trying to live by it, and having some money left over when the month's over. Thank you so much for tuning in to At Home with Miss Joan. I love y'all. Okay, I just wanted to add just a few more things. I got all carried away with telling you to list your giving, your house payments, your car payment, and utilities and all that stuff. And I really wanted to talk too about making sure you budget out how much you spend on food and how much you spend on gas for your car, because sometimes we don't add that stuff in and it really takes a chunk out of our income. And so this little book system here where you can keep up with it, or look at your credit card tickets and how much you spend on food, and just decide an amount that you're going to budget every month, and then track it for a while. You might need to raise it a little bit, or you might get to lower it a little bit. But the main thing is be sure to add groceries, food into your budget, and let that include your eating out, because many times we put X amount for food, but then we spend way more than that eating out. Well, that needs to be in that total too, or at least it needs to be allowed for on a separate line. And don't forget your car gas, because gas is awful high right now, and we sure got to put it in the budget. And I know I couldn't teach everything, but I can tell you somebody who can. We have been following Dave Ramsey and everything he teaches for many, many years. And you can locate him online at RamseySolutions.com. He is a wonderful Christian, teaches from a Christian perspective, and you will learn a lot by listening to anything that he or his daughter, Rachel Cruz, teaches. And I wished if you enjoyed my videos here at Home with Miss Joan, if you would hit the like button, and also if you would subscribe to my channel, then you would get notified when we make new videos. Thank you so much. At Home with Miss Joan.